Bay. It's actually this coming week, storm or no storm. And then the next week, the Democratic National Convention is going to Charlotte. And this only happens every 4 years, and why not take advantage of it and talk about what the happiness implications are for such an event in your town. Yes, there's a week like this one coming up. You're like, uh-oh, well, we can't go that way because the road's closed. But the overall lasting impact is huge and something worth talking about. I'm Brenda Martin with The State of Happiness. Our website is thestateofhappiness.com. I'm joined today by my fabulous co-hosts Diane Cutts and Maura Sweeney. Good morning, girls. Are we excited or what?
Very much so.
We're very happy. Happy. So that being said, if you have friends who'd like to hear this show, tell them to log on to our website, thestateofhappiness.com, and they can listen live. In the meantime, we're going to tell those of you who are already listening what's going on. I'm going to toss it over to Maura for who our guests are today.
Okay, thank you so much, Brenda. This is Maura Sweeney, again with Diane Cutts and Brenda Martin, and we are The State of Happiness, where we are not complete without you. Our guests today are Alexis Milner. He is editor of Tampa Bay Business Journal. Rhonda Sanborn, who is Hospitality Education Director at Visit St. Pete Clearwater, and Donald Green, author of Third Party Matters, Politics, Presidents, and Third Parties in American History. So right now, we want you to call, text, Facebook, and even tweet your friends. You're listening to us at WTIS 1110 AM in St. Petersburg. Our website is thestateofhappiness.com. And like us on our Facebook page, The State of Happiness Talk Radio. Find us on the Twitter handle, Happiness Talk. So, this is the 40th Republican National Convention. Between August 27th and the 30th, we'll be playing host in this metro area to an American institution. I don't know if everybody knows this, but 2,286 delegates and over 2,000 alternate delegates from all 50 states, Washington, D.C., and 5 U.S. territories will be converging right here in the Tampa Bay area to help us nominate the next presidential candidate from one of the country's 2 largest political parties. We're about to cover history in the making. And the interesting thing about us is that we're doing it from the State of Happiness. So, with our unique team ready to report some fun, fascinating, and behind-the-scenes information from a non-polarizing, non-political point of view.
You go!
We're ready to hear from a guy I'm ready to, watch him. This is, we're going to start with an American historian, an author, a lecturer, and a former New York City madman by the name of Donald J. Green. He's author of Third Party Matters, Politics, Presidents, and Third Parties in American History. His book is available on Amazon. And Don, tell us why I invited you and what you are going to do for us today on The State of Happiness.
Thank you, Maura. I'm not sure why you invited me.
You got to practically kiss the thing, Don. There you go.
I'd like you to take the muzzle off my mouth.
Oh, sorry, not in The State of Happiness.
Okay.
Can't do that.
Well, I want to say, a little history is a second career for me, actually. I started out, as you said, in New York City in advertising. And somebody once described advertising as all the good news. Everything's bigger, better, more wonderful than everybody else's. History is a little different. It's the way I teach it, a little more balanced. There's the good, the bad, and the ugly. All right.
There's some pretty in there
I teach at HCC. It's got a great student body, very diverse. Come to my class and you'll see the future of America sitting right there, all 28 of them, small classes. It's a great place. And I got interested in the course. I teach a survey class. I teach from the beginning until 1999 or 2012. But one of the topics that has interested me and what I wrote about, and my book came out 2 years ago, was about third parties. There have been over 100 of them. And in my estimation, there have been about 10 that have made a difference. And I have to say, I shouldn't admit this, but at the end of my book, I predicted that there would be a major third party in this election. It hasn't come to pass. I'm surprised. There will be third parties. There were 20 third parties in 2008, 20 in 2004, and there will be some third parties this year. And I think the reason is that, first of all, it's gotten so expensive to run a campaign that if a serious person has got to figure $1 billion to run a national campaign. That's what Romney and Obama are going to spend. Obama broke the record in 2008. He went over $1 billion. And I know Michael Bloomberg, the mayor of New York City, looked into it, and he's the richest man in New York City with $20 billion or something like that. And he figured out that there's no way he could win, so he pulled out. Wow. I also think that, in a sense, that the Republican Party, and stop me if I'm being too partisan, consists of two. There are now two parties within the Republican Party. So, in a sense, I think the Republican Party has the second party, which is the conservative Tea Party, the Paul Ryan wing of the party, we'll say. And then Mitt Romney is more moderate. He's like the third party. So it's sort of like an inverse, I think. Oh. So there is a third party, but they're both within the Republican parties.
Interesting.
So there've been, there's been about 10 of these third parties. Of course, the last, Ralph Nader in 2000 changed the outcome to the 2000 election. We got Bush, George W. Bush, because of Ralph Nader. I will note that neither Bush nor Cheney will be at this convention. Bill Clinton will be introducing Barack Obama in Charlotte, which is an interesting juxtaposition of who's going to be there and who's not.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Who has been your favorite third-party candidate? Have you, being that do you have a favorite?
I guess Ross Perot.
Yeah, Ross Perot.
Ross Perot in 1992. Ross Perot, remember he pulled out of the race during the summer.
Yes.
Before he pulled out of the race, they were saying all these nasty things about him. The guy is a little crazy, I have to say. I think if he won the election, that he couldn't have handled it. I think he would have walked out of the White House, gone back to Dallas, and never come back again. But they were spreading rumors about his family and his daughters, and so he pulled out. The interesting thing is, before he pulled out, in July, I think it was, in June, they conducted a series of polls, and he was ahead of Clinton and Bush Sr. So he is the only third-party candidate that could have actually won the election. Wow. But he pulls out. When he comes back in, he's down to 7% of the vote. He spent a lot of money, and he builds up. He's in the debates, and he ends up with 20% of the vote. And he's the first candidate, really, that talked about the problems in Washington, the debt. In those days, it was a quaint $3 trillion. The debt was, that would have been easy. Now we're up to $20 trillion. Now we're at serious money. So he would be one interesting. And another one is Teddy Roosevelt. He ran, he was president from 1901 to 1908. Then Taft takes over, who was his protege. He feels Taft is too conservative. So he runs in 12 on the Bull Moose Progressive Party. And he gets 27% of the vote, and he comes in second. The Republican came in third in that election. So there's a lot of interesting. He gives the election to Woodrow Wilson.
I have to tell you, it's
yeah.
bad enough with a donkey and an elephant, but when you got a bull moose,
That's right.
I just don't see how you can win with that. Okay, I really don't. You might as well have an alligator.
Well, they say he had a big ego besides.
Yeah.
He was a big guy with a big ego. He was traveling in Africa, big game hunting, and he was kept informed about what's going on, and he just missed the limelight. So he came back and ran, and he made great speeches, and he did very well. He got 88 electoral votes. Taft, the Republican, only got 8 electoral votes.
Hey, Don, I don't mean to cut you off. We are going to have you back again in another segment.
Oh, yeah.
But can you tell people where they can find your book? I know it's on Amazon. Is there another place?
Yeah, I'll hold it up so your listeners can see it. Is that all right?
That's
Third Party Matters,
Yeah.
Politics, Presidents, and Third Parties in American History. It's on Amazon.com.
Okay. All right. We're going to have Don back in a few more minutes after our next guest.
Yeah, who is Alexis Milner.
Yep.
Yes.
Hang in there.
Okay.